Batman vs. Superman was one of the most anticipated movies released in 2016, but if you've been on the internet lately, you've probably seen a ridiculous amount of negative reviews about this film. After seeing this movie, I can honestly say I really have no idea how these reviews have spiraled into the level of negativity that they have. This movie did have some problems, but it is unbelievable to see the split between popular opinion and critical opinion. On IMDB, at the time of making this video, the movie had a 7.5 out of 10 rating, which is generally pretty good. Those ratings are calculated by users of IMDB who are voting on the movie. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see a very similar score. The popular opinion is 73%. However, the critical opinion is 29%, which is absolutely terrible. It is the worst rated movie to top the box office. So if we take a look at some of the reviews that Rotten Tomatoes has right on the page of Batman vs. Superman, the first thing we can notice is that a lot of the criticisms being used by all of these critics are not the same. When you go to each different review, you are seeing totally different points. For example, The Guardian considers Jesse Eisenberg's performance as Lex Luthor to be extremely irritating. They said you can feel the running time, and Lois Lane is constantly needed to be rescued, and effectively a useless character. The Patriot Ledger says the film is far too familiar. It is filled with cliches. Yet every other review that you can take a look at on Rotten Tomatoes is complaining about changes made to the Lex Luthor that we are so familiar with, and the Batman especially. Batman in this film kills many different people, and he's even darker than the Christian Bale Batman that we're used to. However, the Patriot Ledger seems to think the film is just a rehash of all of the past Batman and Superman films that we've watched before. Another thing the Patriot Ledger dislikes is the acting, which in 90% of all of the other reviews I've read, the acting is one of the only things that the other critics consider to be good. Chris Stuckman, who's a very prominent movie critic on YouTube, considers Batman to be too dark, mostly because of his killing. Batman has killed in the comics, especially all the way back to the original comics. He was killing people all the time. The fact that he hadn't killed on screen is simply the more popularized version of Batman, but in order for Batman to work in this movie, he needs to starkly contrast Superman, and the best way to do that is to make him brutal and to make him kill. That allows Superman's holistic and pure vision of justice to truly contrast Batman's do whatever it takes. And another criticism that Chris Stuckman and his friend used was the fact that they don't fully see the motivation for the two of them fighting. The motivation for the two of these heroes fighting is a very philosophical element. It is not concrete like we are used to in many films where somebody kills somebody's father. It's something on a higher level. Superman believes in a certain version of justice, and Batman believes that you need to do anything and whatever it takes to get rid of crime. This is a total disconnect. Even though they both want justice, they go about it two very different ways. It's an ideological difference. And this is becoming a problem with a lot of critics who have watched the movie. They don't seem to grasp this constant Christian mythology of angels and demons and what is justice, what is morality. The movie has so much depth to it that seems to be completely lost on these critics. So ultimately, the critics and general audiences seem to have a massive divide for this film. And overall, it is absolutely worth seeing, and it might be one of the best large collaboration superhero films. I absolutely believe this film is better than both of the Avengers movies. But overall, what do you guys think about this ridiculous split between critics and the audience? Do you think the critics just ended up completely snowballing and agreeing with each other and just jumping on the bandwagon? Or do you actually think this film sucks? We will be making a very in-depth analysis video of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, and we will probably consider taking a lot of these negative things I just talked about and fleshing out why most of them are not legitimate concerns. So please hit that subscribe button if you'd like to watch our follow-up video.